Vigilante Wednesday here on the ninth episode of VW Casual. Show that's, really about nothing. But this episode, we have something. Actually, it took a minute. I could have started like early. I wanted to start the 30-second countdown actually at 30 seconds and then time it out perfectly. Then I realized, you know what? I do have a few subjects I want to talk about. And I just put them in the title right last minute. So you, depending on how your YouTube is refreshing, you may not know what we're going to get into. But we have a few things to talk about. We'll also talk about whatever. This is still going to have its randomization. And we'll probably just start off with the randomization as the chat funnels in. But we do have things to talk about. The Tolkien Society Summer Seminar on Tolkien and Diversity. Mindy Kaling playing Velma in the show that literally changes everything about Scooby-Doo. And it changes so much. It's like, well, why not just do an original show? Why not take your premise and change it enough to where you have an original thing? But they just can't. It's this thing with Hollywood. This is different than just the woke conversation, which is sort of obvious. But I like Mindy Kaling. She's kind of hot to me. And then we'll talk about Batwing, the fabulous Batwing. So we'll get into that. But we'll just see who's in the chat. We got the manly man, Jens Peter. That's like your wrestling nickname, the manly man, Jens Peter. Brutal Morningwood, and of course, Fimmer the Ice Wolf, who was here a half hour before. Hopefully, he's still here. And the Steam Elements bot is running. It will remind you to tip the Kindly Vigilante if that's your thing. You can tip or go on the stream, Teespring. I'm sorry. And buy merch. And I'm thinking about adding a VWO shirt up there. If I can figure out how to do the logo. I think I know what I need to do. I'll probably have it. But yeah. So appreciate everybody here. I really do. You guys are really awesome. Thank you for all the support. You guys have kept me monetized without being monetized. And even if you can't or don't, there's no worries. Just the likes, the shares, because sharing is caring. Feel free to share if you want on your social media or social anti-social media platform of choice. But you guys keep me monetized, and it's never ever obligated and always very much appreciated. Any support, whether it be the tips, whether it just be the like, just a tip, or the anything. And okay, I get it. Yeah, you're right. The manly masculine man, Jens Peter. Okay. Jens that's like the entrance, like Jens the manly masculine man, Peter. It's funny. I just did that. I actually watched the first NBA game I've watched on TV. Holy smokes. Since before the lockdown. It would have been probably a Pistons game, because I used to have NBA TV, and it would have probably been a random Pistons game in early March. Would have been the last NBA game I watched. And yesterday, because one of the channels I follow is the jazz-oriented channel, like Utah Jazz. And so they had a playoff game, and the commentary, these teenagers are so good at commentary. They blow away 90% of the commentators. They're so good. They got me into the game, and I ended up just turning it on just to kind of go along with them. And they are really incredible. And it's not just them. There's the fans channel. I've talked about it. There's a Knicks fan channel I follow. They've been really good. And of course the local channels. I talk about Detroit Drew and a few others. Well, it's local. I'm obviously in the Carolinas. But I was just so enraptured by their commentary. I ended up watching the game. And so they were really like, I'm like, this kid's going to be the Jazz commentator in 10 years or whatever. So I guess that's why I got into it. That's better than my hardest working man and no business bit. Hardest working man and no business. I like that. I like that, Brutal Morningwood. Let's see. Shout out if you're watching on Twitch or D Live. Still haven't figured out the Odyssey thing. Yeah, I need to. I really just need to do it. I think again there's some requirement you must meet, but I've had luck just emailing them saying, "Hey, let me do it," and they'll do it because they're still a small platform, very small platform. So they're cool with that. Okay, so since it doesn't seem like the chat is that active yet, and I know it'll take time, so maybe 5 to 6 minutes. Notifications barely go out. We will just get into some of the stories we wanted to talk about because there are a few things I saw. I'm like, you know what? We can talk about this. We can talk about this. This Tolkien Society. This is a coordinated effort, man. It took what, 2 weeks for all this shit to come together? No, like 10 days. Within 10 days, we had the OneRing.net and their little, Twitter spat with Gary, which he actually had more in-depth analysis on. Gary did Nerdrotic on his channel because I didn't know exactly how all the tweets. I had it wrong. There were some more intermediate tweets, but from that crazy Twitter beef where they're talking about Ian McKellen having some, which I guess he did write about, but I had never heard anyone angry about Ian McKellen as Gandalf. And because Ian McKellen just kind of been this beloved figure for the characters he's played. He's played a lot of iconic characters over the years. So I never heard that. But apparently there was some of it. So, I'm not trying to toss it out. But they really were like making a mountain out of a molehill or anthill with it. And they did that. Then they get into a spat with Gary and just some guy a little bit on the internet. They blocked, I think at some point, maybe still blocked Lady Gravemaster. Just really nasty. And now we have the Tolkien Society's Summer Seminar 2021. We're focusing on Tolkien and diversity. So it's like, and Amazon has bought up MGM, which gives them, it seems to be most of the rights for distribution for Lord of the Rings. But the only thing that confuses me is Warner Media is making a new animated thing they have coming out that I couldn't pronounce. I'm not going to try to pronounce tonight or today. I couldn't pronounce yesterday, but I covered it yesterday on the Vigilante Williamson show. Check back if you missed that episode. So let's just kind of skim over what's going on. The Tolkien Society's second seminar of 2021 will have a focus on Tolkien and diversity. The Tolkien Society describes their seminars as short academic conferences of both researcher-led and non-academic presentations on a specific theme pertaining to Tolkien scholarship. As noted above, the theme for the second seminar is Tolkien and diversity. The Tolkien Society previously put a call out for papers on the subject that will be discussed during the seminar. They explained, spurred by the recent interpretations of Tolkien's creations. I don't know what that means. And the cast list of the upcoming Amazon Lord of the Rings. It's crucial we discuss the theme of diversity in relation to Tolkien. You like my VPN with the, because I'm so sick of the damn ads doxing me. I just tossed the VPN. So we're in some country in Europe, whatever language this is. I think it's the Czech Republic. They elaborated how do adaptations of Tolkien's works from film to art to music open a discourse on diversity within Tolkien's works within its place in modern society. Beyond the secondary world, diversity encompasses Tolkien's readership and how his text exists in the primary world. Who is reading Tolkien? How is it understood around the globe? Do these new readings enrich current perspectives on Tolkien? And Hail Pearhead, appreciate you being here. From there, the Tolkien Society say representation is now more important than ever. Of course, representation doesn't work because you guys destroy all characters. We'll get into it. Actually, the next two stories are why representation makes it worse. It always does. Like at an objective level, it makes it worse. Stop representing us. Stop. Don't do that. No representation is better. I'd rather every character ever made always be white, and if we're gonna just make every black male gay. If this is what I got, no disrespect to the brother. No disrespect. For all I know, he strays in line. I don't know. Either way, if the trade-off is you're going to instead of writing, you could just write original characters, and we're going to get into that later. Why don't you just write original characters? If you're going to do all this, create something original. Instead of having the trade-off, if I have to make sure that every character forevermore, any media is white, but I don't get this. No disrespect to the brother. I'm not disrespecting LGBTQ. I'm just sick of seeing people that look like me in dresses in an effeminate manner. I just can't do it anymore. There's no disrespect to anyone. I just can't. I can't do it. So representation, stop it, please. Anyways, the token's efforts to represent or ignore particular characteristics require further examination. Additionally, how a character's identity shapes and influences its place within Tolkien's secondary world requires greater attention. So, this is the Tolkien Society, right? You would imagine that the Tolkien Society likes the works of J.R. Tolkien. Okay, Robot VigilanteWilliamson is showing up. But you would imagine that they like Tolkien. That's why they formed a society for it, right? I'll full disclosure, I am not a Tolkien fan to this extent. I love the movies. I actually need to rewatch them. But I'm not this diehard guy who's read all the books and all that. So I am very normie when it comes to Tolkien. So I don't know the Tolkien Society. I only know the OneRing.net through Nerdrotic. I don't know these things to that in-depth level. So if the Tolkien Society is a fringe group that nobody cares about, or is a very important group relative to the Tolkien fandom, I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you either way. So that's full disclosure for anyone who's watching who is or isn't a Tolkien fan, so they just know where I stand with it. But anyways, you imagine they like it. So why would they try to, they throw a little shade, ignore particular characteristics, require further examination. So you're going to deconstruct something you supposedly love. I'm not saying you shouldn't criticize things you love. I criticize things I love all the time. I love the Nolan trilogy and Batman. There are tons of flaws with a lot of it. There are tons of good things that kind of make up for those flaws and make it so those flaws are easy to ignore. But those flaws exist. I just don't understand why. So you can criticize something you don't like, but to deconstruct it, because that's when you're talking about ignoring particular characteristics, and that requires further examination. You're talking about deconstructing something that, as it on its onset, was supposed to be a fantasy, but historical, like a fantasy mythos for England. So when you start talking about how different characteristics were ignored and representing, you're talking about racial representation. You're starting to deconstruct things at their core. You're not necessarily or maybe in their head, I'm sure they are thinking like, you know what, it should have had more black people because of today's standards, which doesn't make sense in a sense. And again, stop representing us terribly and stop. But okay, whatever. That's a critical, but no, you're deconstructing everything in name of cultural Marxism. Critical race theory has different names. So a lot of people are tossing in the chat. Sorry, say hey to my man Pearhead R Far with the dope Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Powerpuff Girls avatar. Watching as fast as shit spreads like watching the invasion of the body snatchers, or like watching World War Z or something to do this zombie thing, because apparently Albert Wesker is getting race swapped. It's not, I guess they got to make us villains too. They will make Lord of the Rings to get Lord of the Rings. They probably will. Like I said, I don't want alpha Chad hobbits, and I don't want gay hobbits. There should be no sexuality in this at all. It doesn't need to be sexual. And hell, Brutal Morningwood. And hell, Man of War 665, neighbor of the beast. His suit is already perfection. It certainly isn't going to be on a man. Luke looks like he's scared of his own shadow. So VW, you're not watching RuPaul. Like he spelled Rude Paul. Drag race no more with me, you bitch. Oh Lord. Yeah, this is great. No more RuPaul for me. Because I've ever watched that show ever. They always say that they're fans and have been fans forever, but at the same time they want to change it. Yeah, that's what I get. Oh, we exposed Kevin Smith on Thursday Night Throwdown. He is not a fan. we exposed him. Shout out to Tom from Midnight Edge. He was on Thursday Night Throwdown on Drew's Supreme Heritage channel. Just got over 600 subs. So please check this out. Check it out. But basically, Tom found a tweet from 2010 where Kevin Smith said he was not a fan of what you call it. It didn't take him that long. Maybe I could do it on air. A tweet from 2010. Kevin Smith said he was not a fan of He-Man. And then cut to right when he's about to write for it, he's talking about, it was a ritual to watch He-Man. He gets the years wrong. He's just a complete farce and a complete fake and a complete goof. Kevin Smith is such a joke. He is such a joke. The removal of Tom Shippey spoke volumes. If I could speak volumes. I am only vaguely familiar with Tom Shippey. Is he one of the people who were involved with is he the historian, the scholar? I think he's either the scholar or was involved with the original thing. And I asked the question in one of these episodes, I think it was yesterday when we talked about the anime one. Would Peter Jackson ever come back? Or do you think there's any way that Peter Jackson could ever be involved? If there's a bomb, he's only 60 is older, but not that old. If there's a nuclear bomb, they just destroy it and they say, we need help. Do you think they will ever bring Peter Jackson back? Let's see. Why can't the SJWs go criticize the fashion industry or daytime talk show where they belong? Good point. These are things they're clearly more interested in. They always try to bring these elements into things. Well, within the Lord of non-Caucasian fantasy cultural groups, within Lord of the Rings, the problem requires time, effort, imagination, and write and craft them into a good story. There you go. Poser is as Poser does. Very true. Kevin Smith, the new Hollywood nerd. He's corporate Kevin, crying Kevin. He's the token scholar. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir. All trace quality sorely lacking in present day Hollywood is easier to change race route than it is to craft and new sale properties. This is going to come to a head because I think they're boring people with their terrible remakes of everything. Like normies. They're destroying with normies because I don't think, and the next story will tell you, it will explain this. You have to make something new. And you want to. What you have to make something new. In 1985 or 1984, you got more original properties made in that era than you have maybe the past 25 years. And I'm not joking or exaggerating. You're cannibalizing your remakes to the point where people are just checking out of them. People are tired of remake sequels. You need original properties. Or if you do sequel, hey, John Wick is a 5 or 6 year old franchise. 2014, 7-year-old franchise, and honestly, they're already on 4, so that's going to be almost over. So you need new properties, new blood. That's what you did in the 90s, what you did in the 80s, 70s, so on and so forth. So outside of race swapping, just make something new. Kevin Smith is not a fan of Kevin Smith. I agree with him. Yes, hell, fathead Druid, hell. Ironcraft says Peter Jackson's attached to that animated movie. Heard no, he's not attached. At least that's what we read. Maybe he is. Maybe I'm wrong. Or maybe they're different movies. Maybe I'm thinking of something different. About Helm's Deep, his name for that will be attached to the Jackson Films, Amazon's Lord of the Rings either. I'm not even talking about the films. I'm talking about him as the person coming in to help them. I was watching a short YouTube documentary on a lot of behind the scenes and just seeing how inventive, like that was a filmmaking masterpiece. There's no doubt about that. And Peter Jackson as a director, that's probably the best job of directing an epic film anyone has ever done and will ever do. And when I say epic film, I'm considering the whole 3 because they did it back-to-back years, right? And it was one big filming process. And there's nothing been that ambitious. There's nothing been that done. I remember when it was announced and I was like teenager, I'm like, this shit better be good because this will be the biggest bomb in the history. And it wasn't. It was great. It was excellent. But here's the thing, Arfar, and this is why I get cultural Marxism. It's not about the money. It's about sending a message. We'll get shadow funded, which may not be as, China's not happy with Hollywood. Hollywood's not happy with China. So They may be breaking up with some of their shadow funders, so that may be a thing. But studios took risks back then. Do you think WB spent 500 mil on JJ for him to make original content, which may or may not sell? No, far riskier and cheaper to race swap Superman, but that's not going to sell. Just like gender swap Ghostbusters didn't sell. Just like gender swap uh, Terminator didn't sell. These things have a track record, let alone Last Jedi. No, Last Jedi doesn't count because Last Jedi did sell because you were able to bait and switch and get people in. So Last Jedi will not count. But The Fall of Soy Walker does, and Solo does as a reaction to it. So there's now a track record of economic failure. And again, some of the people who funded this stuff, some of the cultural Marxism was funded from China. Everyone brings up Palpatine. George of the Jungle, we'll call him that. Everyone brings him up, but China was definitely involved in a lot of this cultural Marxism push, and there may be a breakup there. So I could see us having a generation of bombs at the box office, and then Hollywood reversing ship. The fact that the fact that they're challenging and souring on them, that is a huge deal. And hell, Basco scenario, what is good? Lots of things are good. I hope everyone's having a good Friday. That's what I hope is happening. I hope you're good, Basco. And what's up, chat? How are we all doing? How is the chat doing? You guys are great. Hope you guys are doing. But you're right, Arfar. That's their thinking, but they're wrong. Their thinking is wrong. When I said that, none of it was criticizing what you were saying, because this is their logic. Their logic is, hey, we can make J.J. Abrams race swap Superman. We got our own Black Panther, $1 billion, and they just sniff coke and go about their day. But they're not thinking like, wait a second, Black Panther was an original property. And you're right. They're banking on Black Superman being their answer to the Black Panther media frenzy. That was lightning in a bottle. The only thing that could have possibly followed that up was a Chadwick Boseman led Black Panther 2. And since we're not getting that will never happen like that again. You have to build a property. You can build a property you can build a Black ran property or mostly Black cast property into that, but you have to build it into that. You're not going to do that like that. And even that was built. You needed Civil War for that. You needed Civil War, and you needed one of the most manipulative marketing schemes by a major corporation today. And Hellfire Druid again, tip top mate. Thanks, he's doing good. Lord Thoth, what did you miss? Our Canadian Egyptian god. We were just talking about the Tolkien Society being diverse. Or being into diversity, and why would you have a society? And I'm not as well versed, so if you guys can educate me on the Tolkien fandom, I think the Tolkien Society has been a big deal. But why would you want to deconstruct something that you purport to love? And then, not that they're hardcore into it. This is a pamphlet, but it just says, they want to talk about Tolkien's efforts to represent or ignore particular characteristics and how they require further in that examination. So we're talking about that, but we will be talking about more. We got to talk about some race swapping that's happening. It's called lazy creativity, create new heroes. And this is when we get into the next story, it's really going to bug me how what is being created could just be changed into its own thing, and it would be so much better, and it would have a chance to make something. It's my alarm telling me to get up if I'm still asleep, which I'm not. Obviously, I'm talking to you guys. Cool. Yeah, cool. Would have loved to see John Stewart Green Lantern modeled on David Goggins. He was you talking about Diggle from the not MCU, the DC CW universe, which started off pretty cool. I think that's David Goggins, or is that somebody different? I'm 90% that is because he's a Detroiter, if I remember correctly. No, that's a different guy. David Goggins. Oh, I know who David Goggins is. I know who David Goggins is. Yeah, I got them mixed up. I'm thinking about Diggle from the thing, but David Goggins, I know who he is. But I don't know if he's an actor. He's a motivational guy. I know him. I know you already corrected me in the chat. I got it wrong. He's the motivational guy. And I need to get like I gotta lose a lot of weight. But yeah, in any event, yeah, I know who he is. I have checked it. I'm glad I looked it up right then and there. I know I've seen him before. I've seen him before and seen his videos. Studios getting tax breaks and money refunded from the U.S. government. They'll be claiming business loss back. They will, yes, they will get a lot of tax breaks. Race swapping is disingenuous and claims minority are capable of crafting out their own legacies. It's evil and couldn't be further from the truth. Yes, it's very just like the CRT stuff is very evil. It's evil towards all parties involved. It creates oppression for whatever group it purports to protect. And I talked about this in a video months and months ago. I don't know how well I did, but I was talking about why things like the No Time to Me Too having this race gender swap bond means we could never get another Bad Boys. Bad Boys was 2 black leads and it made hundreds of millions of dollars over three different decades. Hundreds of millions of dollars as a franchise. And made it, and it wasn't the most expensive stuff to produce, and made hundreds of millions of dollars, and then you will never see it again. Because instead we have to take another property that already exists and add a black character to it, make somebody who's already white black. We can never get Bad Boys 1 and 2 and 3 again. We can't it will never happen because we have to be Batwing. We need this. This is why we'll never get Bad Boys 2. Shit just got real. And David Goggins is indeed a real life hero. Hell, Wookie Lives Matter had company. I know you do well with the ladies. DoorDash and chill. No worries. We've been a good inspiration for because Green Lantern is a military guy. John Stewart Green Lantern is a military guy. I don't have it handy, but I have the Mego style action figure of John Stewart Green Lantern. Well, we're gonna have the ginger side with the Velma race swap as well. Yeah, and then there's somebody else who got race swap. But Velma's kind of brunette, but reddish brown, still reddish brown. But the Velma race swap is actually the next story, Lord Thaw. We'll talk about that. And when you read the premise, it's like if you guys would have just changed it, you could have just done like your own version of. What is so hard about what the boys did? The boys is the Justice League. But not the whatever the damn. I didn't watch the boys, but the characters, the heroes, the 7, they're the Justice League. The 7 are the Justice League, but they're not. What is so hard? If you want to adapt Scooby-Doo, let's just get into the story because the Tolkien thing kind of talks about itself. Let's get into it. Just off brought it up. Mindy Kaling, who is I think she's a cute lady in my age range. She's cute. Why? If you're going, they're not just look at the headline will tell you it all. Mindy Kaling is leading an adult-oriented Scooby-Doo animated comedy to focus on race swap Velma and won't feature Scooby-Doo. So first off, this is animated. Don't the Venture Brothers exist? The Venture Brothers is Johnny Quest. It isn't really, but that's the inspiration. So you could have made fucking Mike Tyson Mysteries is Scooby-Doo. It's not really, but they base it off of like if you saw Scooby-Doo, you would understand the jokes, right? So if you're going to take a Scooby, you don't have to actually use Scooby-Doo. You don't actually have to use the property. You could create another character, name her something else, be Mindy Kaling's character, and make a whole different mystery team that doesn't, because this team isn't going to have Scooby-Doo. And so you just have a totally different property that's similar to Scooby-Doo, that invokes Scooby-Doo, that's a parody of Scooby-Doo. Just like the boys parody the Justice League with the 7, parody Scooby-Doo with whatever new property you're going to do. But create a new property. What the fuck is so hard about creating a new property? Well, we won't have a built-in audience. But you don't care about that built-in audience. You've made it so fucking apparent you don't care about the built-in audience. So why not create a new property? Because you're putting in so much, you're changing so much, you might as well. It boggles my mind. It boggles my mind that these people are that fucking dumb. Killing my voice. It's just I'm not even talking about the wokeness element. I'm past that with this story. I am like, woo! When I read this, I'm like, just call it something else and make a parody. You would have more freedom. You would have less people yelling at you if you do something different. You would have all the freedom you like. And you would still, guess what you would still do? You would still get some interest from that built-in audience of whatever property you're parodying. How many people watch The Boys because they like the Justice League or the Avengers? The Boys were able to do it without and I didn't even watch it. And I saw the first episode and I'm like, this isn't for me. Because I didn't need to see superheroes deconstructed. I did not need to see superheroes deconstructed yet again. I did not need to see evil Superman. I read Injustice. I played Injustice. And I've seen all this other evil Superman. I get it. So I didn't need it. So I didn't watch it. But a lot of people like it. A lot of people liked it. Even the second season, a lot of people like it. The Boys was able to use the built-in audience from superhero films and create a new property at the exact same time. And obviously it's a comic book property that was adapted, but for the film adaptation, relative to normies, people got into The Boys because they saw the Avengers and they knew who, either the Justice League, they knew who Superman was, they knew who Batman was, they knew somebody, Wonder Woman, and they say, okay, these are parody characters of them. And so that built-in audience you were able to take, and then you have the freedom to do what you want. Now, obviously, The Boys has its own built-in audience because it's a book to adapt, and you have to honor that property as well. So that's its own element, and that's its own argument to be made. But relative to the normie, relative to somebody who never has read a Boys book and never will read a Boys book, it is an original property that takes their fandom from something else on it. So you could have done this property with Mindy Kaling, and you could have made this your own thing, and you would have still gotten interest from the people who grew up watching Scooby-Doo. Because luckily with Scooby-Doo, that's a property that people saw it as kids in the 60s and 70s. People saw it as kids in the 80s. People saw it as kids in the 90s and even into the 2000s, because there's a reboot every so often, or just the original ones play on reruns. So you have a built-in audience of generations who are familiar with Scooby-Doo's premise. So a parody of Scooby-Doo will be just as well as using the actual property itself. And why Hollywood can't do this, I will never know. I will never understand or comprehend. I could never do it. I don't understand it. I don't understand how people can be that stupid. So let's just see what you guys are saying about it as I ranted. Then we'll actually get into the story. Wookie, you give him the devil horns. Cool. I like her. Why do this? Who knows? So without Scooby-Doo, it's not Scooby-Doo then. No, it's Velma. It's going to be called Velma. But hell to all hell, Agent Decibel. I got it pretty loud there. It's like Star Wars without the wars. Exactly. And exactly, VW. Yeah. I thought I got my point. Hell Basco scenario to the Agent Decibel. Scooby-Doo without Scooby-Doo sounds like meat without meat. Operation Soy Nerding. Yes, I need to hydrate. Jupiter's Legacy was good, but Netflix canceled it. I didn't see Jupiter's Legacy, but I know it got canceled after a season. Netflix needs to stop that. They need to do week to week. I know their binge thing is their thing, but they need to stop doing that because they're killing those shows. That binge thing worked in 2014. It ain't 2014 no more. You know what I mean? I think there's appointment television's kind of made it way back because people have different things going on. I mean, yes, a lot of people like watching the binge stuff at the end, but yeah. Anyways, let's get into this crazy ass story. Warner Media has revealed a number of new details regarding actress Mindy Kaling's upcoming adult-oriented, so this is something like Adult Swim, I'm guessing, Scooby-Doo animated comedy. It'll focus on a race-swapped East Asian version of Velma Dinkley, which I don't know if her name is going to be Dinkley anymore, and a complete lack of both the Mystery Machine and the franchise eponymous Great Dane. We're going with that. These new pieces of information first came to public attention during Warner Brothers Global Kids, Young Adults, and Classics President's Tom Asheem's June 8th keynote presentation for the TV Kids Summer Festival, a virtual event focused on the major challenges and opportunities at play in children's media business. So how the hell is this children's media business and it's supposed to be adult oriented? Who knows? When asked by the TV panel or asked by the panel host and TV Kids Group editorial director Anna Karugati about how he had found Anna's a he. Okay, I'm not gonna judge the pronouns. About how been finding and nurturing talent. Asheem asserted that it's always the most important thing, no matter what generation we are in this business. Before proceeding to present Kaling Scooby Doo as an example how studio had pursued talent and development. So that's when they first talked about it in that conference. We have a not for children Mindy Kaling project called Velma because she was excited to reimagine what Scooby Doo would be like if Velma was of East Asian descent and lived in a different world. That's just make your own property. And that version, which is going on HBO Max first, there's no dog, there's no van, but we have our 4 key characters through a different lens. He continued. It's allowing creators to play with our IPs. It's super powerful. You know what? Something Warner Media owns? It's this thing called Adult Swim. They literally did this as norm. As norm. That's what they did. They took, yes, Sea Lab 2021, but that had nothing to do with the original series. So, but they would parody things. Like I mentioned, Adventure Brothers. Just parody it. Just create it and create a new thing. You'll still get in that built-in IP. You'll still get the people who want to see Scooby-Doo. They'll say, "Oh, they're doing a Scooby-Doo parody." Make a parody. That's what this is going to be anyway. Why the fuck? Who wants to see Scooby-Doo without Scooby-Doo? Literally, you guys are remaking Scooby-Doo without Scooby-Doo. That's literally what you said. You're literally saying that. We joke about it, that's what they're doing. Why? What is the point? What is the point? And they say this is not the first time that Velma was race swapped in the live action universe. Scooby-Doo and the Mystery Begins. In a sequel, Scooby-Doo the Curse of the Lake Monster, Velma was portrayed by half Japanese actress Haley Kiyoko. In the role, established Kiyoko as the first non-white actor to portray a member of Mystery Inc. She's pretty hot. But you know what? She looks like Velma. They did her hair like Velma, got a little outfit like Velma. And I didn't see either of these because I'm too old to watch a live action Scooby-Doo anything. But I'm not sure. It at least sounds like, and anyone who watched either of these, let me know, that they still tried to keep it true to the energy of Scooby-Doo. Because she's pretty cute. Not to just give her a pass because she's hot. But at least she didn't overdo it to make her look not like Velma. And was the race swap the point? Did they say, "Hey, there's a race swap Velma for fucking whatever diversity"? You bigot? No, I doubt it. They just, she's cute. You can make it look like Velma. Fuck it. Maybe that was it. They were trying to make Velma look cute, and they was like, okay, we're going with her. So that's pretty much it. I guess this is is it going to be a prequel to Scooby-Doo? And Mindy Kaling is going to be the writer and the actress for Velma. It's a prequel. Jesus Christ. Why are these people that stupid? And hail Lily of the Fox Valley. As a Scooby-Doo fan since childhood, this is offensive to me. I like Kaling. I do too. I really like Mindy Kaling. But this is potentially ruin the studio property. And again, you don't have to do it this way. You don't have to do it this way. You don't. You can just make a parody. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with doing a parody of Scooby-Doo. I have a question, Lily of the Fox Valley. If this was done marketed as a parody and not of the original property, would you be more interested in it or less? You've identified yourself as a fan since childhood, which again most people are. I mean, most people grew up on one version of Scooby Doo or the original. Because I mean, back in the day, Cartoon Network used to play the Scooby Doo. Where are you? They used to play the movies with Don Knotts and Batman and Carol Burnett or whoever else the hell they had as a guest, or the cool little guest they had. That was cool. You know what I mean? Casey Kasem as Shaggy. You know, I remember that stuff. And that's the original stuff, even though it was 20, 30 years after the fact, they were still playing it. But yeah, absolutely more interested because it's not trying to be the original. That's my point. That's my point. That's what it makes most sense. And Brutal Morning Wood says Dinkley will be her hapless white stepdad's name, calling it her Daniel Kibblesmith. No, that shirt was not real. Probably Basco Scenario says to Brutal Morning Wood. And I will reimagine Wonder Woman as a dude with a skull on his chest. Yeah, they call it. Yeah, just make a new character. Instead of making Wonder Woman or the Punisher, which that's the Punisher's gimmick. Yins, the masculine manly man, Peter. Just make a new property. You heard it from a fan first, and I like Mindy Kaling. This could work as a parody, and you could have her be of East Asian descent, and you can have it basically where it's basically like we get it. This is supposed to be Scooby Doo without the dog, and each of the characters are part of this mystery team, and you can make it as funny. You have freedom to do what you want. You have freedom to be absolutely in line with certain elements of Scooby Doo, and freedom to be absolutely on your own with your own property. Man, it's starting to feel like creative originality is a dead concept. Sad times indeed. It's starting to feel like people have a phobia of creativity because they're already look at what they're changing in this. It would be easier to make this a parody than to keep it in line with Scooby Doo. You're race swapping Velma. Okay. You're not going to have Scooby Doo and you're not going to have the Mystery Machine. And you're doing this all to make it a prequel. So this is, first off, there's a canon to Scooby Doo. And hell, Darius Munchausen. Appreciate you being here. Shout out to the Metro Detroit area. But firstly, there's a canon to all this Scooby Doo shit that's ever been done. No, there's not a canon. Stop. Fuck a prequel. Like how? How? It doesn't make nothing. This is a kid's show. For fuck's sake, it's a kid's cartoon with some adult look. Because Shaggy was a stoner, obviously, and Daphne and Fred were fucking. We know this. Scooby Dooby Doo, where are you? He's gone because he's a male now. Will be the title song, says Jens Peter. Yeah, that may be. Toxic masculinity. Scooby Dooby Doo, we have to cancel you for your toxic masculinity. See, you know what? They're going to make Fred gay because of the ascot. And Darius saying what up to Yins. And what up to Fathead Druid and Lily of the Fox Valley, who already admitted a parody would be more interesting. But yeah, they're changing a bunch of it, and it would just be easier as a parody. Instead of trying a prequel. That's disrespectful. There's no canon to Scooby-Doo. Like, what? So there's a canon to Scooby-Doo doing something with Don Knotts in the 60s and Batman in the 60s and Batman recently and all the shit that happened in between. And no, there's not a canon. There's not one canon. It's just ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. Ron Martin giving me the laughs and the thumbs up. Kaling is really funny and talented. I agreed. She doesn't need to piggyback on something. It's not like she hasn't proven herself capable. If she would have pitched this as a parody, she would have got it. They would have said, yeah, you would do it. Because it's not like we haven't done this before. Again, Mike Tyson Mysteries is a parody animated series of Scooby-Doo. It brings the people who are interested in Mike Tyson and the people who, oh, I remember Scooby-Doo. They're making fun of that concept with Mike Tyson. And hitting those high notes. Yeah, not well. Not well. I need auto-tune, obviously. This is, I know my singing was bad, man. Jeez. Not bad. No, I know you're talking about the property. This is sad. This is sad. Fred, I thought was gay, just hung around good looking women, not trying to bring attention to his lifestyle. No, I thought he was banging Daphne because they would always separate. I don't know. Oh, okay. Time for the robot Vigilante Williamson. Is it gonna go away? Please go away. Hell, classy vigilante. I'm robot Vigilante Williamson. Appreciate. I'm not on Wi-Fi. Why is this connection doing this? I'm sorry if I'm roboting. It should go away now or go away soon. What are we discussing? We were discussing. We started off talking about the token societies, token and diversity, and why would you want to deconstruct something if you're a fan of it? And then we started about talking about Mindy Kaling. She's going to be doing this. That's what he wanted us to think. Whatever. But that's what he wanted us to think as far as Daphne. Maybe Daphne was his beard. You might be right, Jens. So the mic is okay. Okay, it looked like it was roboting. But back to Classy Vigilante. Yeah, so now we're talking about Mindy Kaling being in this race swap Scooby-Doo reboot without Scooby-Doo. It's supposed to be a prequel, and it's not going to have Scooby-Doo or the Mystery Machine, and Mindy Kaling is going to be Velma. And my thought is, well, it is going to at least be animated, but why not create a new property? I've gave plenty of examples of original properties that were parodies. The Venture Brothers is a parody of Johnny Quest. The Boy is a parody of the Avengers and the Justice League. And they're successful properties on their own. Just create a parody property. It's okay. And when you're changing so much, you're already changing the race of one of the main characters. You're already eliminating the actual main character and eliminating a key component to the franchise and probably a bunch of stuff. And this is going to be oriented to adults. So that's also a huge change. You're changing the tone of this, which has always been a family-friendly oriented property. So you're changing the tone. You're changing characters' race and culture just because, and you're eliminating main characters and you're eliminating major elements of the show. Why not create a parody property? You're putting so much work into changing things. You might as well go all the way. If you went all the way, as we discussed earlier, you would have more people would have more interest. People would have more interest. Absolutely. I asked Lily the Fox Valley, because they identify themselves as a Scooby-Doo fan since childhood, and that this was offensive. Like Kaling, this is ruining it. So I asked her, would you like a parody property more, or which one would you like more? I didn't even lead her that much, or him. I'm assuming Lily is a her, but it could be. Not assuming your gender, not assuming your pronouns. But they said absolutely more interested because it's not trying to be the original, and that's the real point. That's the real point. Why are they still dumping money in the franchises to expand on pointless information? This is sad. Apparently the mic was good with Jens and Fathead Druid. This is exactly what I mean. Thank you, Kai MFS, who creates original properties. He's created his book, which you should own if you don't. So after Velma, they're doing a movie about Dracula, but he's from Japan and he isn't undead and he's black. It's like, well, just make something new. Just do a whole new thing. It's not Dracula, it isn't. Oh man. Why they're still dumping information? Hell Ron Martin. Hell Kai MFS. Hell Classy Vigilante. And I don't want a Scooby-Doo prequel without the rest of the characters either. Yeah, that's just stupid. This is stupid. You know what? You can either create an adult-oriented Scooby-Doo prequel that's true to the thing and make it kind of funny, or you can do a parody property. This halfway ain't no such thing as halfway crooks, and unfortunately, we're not getting that in modern pop culture. And this is the real question in general before we get into the last story, why is this continuing to happen? Now, there's a lot of reasons as far as, destroying our property and this and third, but there's this safety thing. It is the people in Hollywood. And I got a Hell. Good to see you. It's always good to see you in the chat, man. I know you're super busy. Hell Bright is there. I know you're also super busy. Your channel's growing. But why in the world can't you create a parody property? The Black Dracula. I want to drink your blood. Stop it, Jens. Stop it. But yeah, I don't know. You're right about that. Yeah, they are dumping stuff in the franchise for pointless information. But again, the whole idea of we want to use an established franchise is there's an established fan base. If you do not care about that established fan base's opinion, which you clearly don't, because you're so willing to change things. It's like, let's do this established franchise with that change. Why not create a new franchise in lieu of an established franchise? Look how much these old IPs cost. Amazon spent billions over all these useless MGM properties. These properties cost a lot of money. So it would be cheaper. You and I could create the same thing that obviously, it's probably been trademarked, but the same thing that Mindy Kaling is purported to do, and not call it Scooby-Doo. Call it something else, especially since there is no animal in this reboot. Call it something else, and then we have a new property all together. And now we have a new property. We can do whatever we want. But guess what it also does? You'll get interest from that built-in fan base. Normies watch The Boys because of the Avengers. A lot of people would watch a whatever parody. If you want to take something and turn it in, Lord, what am I trying to say? A lot of people watch Game of Thrones because of Lord of the Rings. Now, yeah, it has its own book franchise, it has its own book fandom to bring. But I'm talking to the normies who didn't read the books. It was on HBO. It had the fantasy type style stuff, and it was real adult oriented, and they fell in love with it. They fell in love with it. But it took some of the fandom and took some of the fan interest from another established franchise. That absolutely is the case. So it's okay. It's okay. People who want some sci-fi. The Orville, you know why a lot of it's popular? Star Trek. The Orville is a parody of Star Trek that took that established fan base. A lot of people who are Orville fans are Star Trek fans. So there are plenty of examples that it can be done where you create a new IP that's based off another one that uses it as influence, but is its own thing. They don't want to do it, even if they're willing to do everything else but that. They're literally in this Velma reboot willing to change all these elements of Scooby-Doo. Why not create your new franchise? Because had you just called it something else, you would have already been done. You're like, okay, with this set of premises, with this set of differences, how is this going to play out? Is this rocket science? Is this something that's that complex? Like, am I missing something? Am I lost here? Damn it, I'm timing the drop wrong. Sorry.
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
That's how I feel. I've been saying this for a while. Just make your own franchise. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. Hell, Indie Comics Jones. Indiana Jones. They were screwing that up. Why? Uncharted. Guess what? Uncharted takes a lot of its basis from Indiana Jones. Same with Tomb Raider, even though it has two more assets that helped it, which they already have de-emphasized in the newer offerings. But we have a lot of established franchises that have parody offshoots that are also successful. We already went through them. What is so hard with doing that? Especially when this Velma, again, and if you just coming in late, we were just talking about this, and it's a Mindy Kaling led adult oriented Scooby Doo that is not going to have Scooby Doo. It's going to have a race swap Velma, and it's going to, like I said, it's already changing so much. You might as well do your own thing. So we're nearing the end. We've gone close to an hour. I've used this guy as kind of a backdrop of why I don't want representation. But let's talk about Batwing and Batwang, the fabulous Batwang and Batwhammon. CW give viewers his first look at Cameron Johnson's Luke Fox as Batwing in Batwoman with the flailing. Oh boy! Shout out to J.B. Augustine who wrote this for Bounding. The flailing drama series Batwhammon, soon to bestow the suit and mantle of Batwang to its rightful owner. The CW has given their viewers the first look at actor Cameron Johnson wearing a high-tech armor. Here's June 8th, the official Batwoman Twitter account, CW Batwoman, sent out a tweet featuring 2 concept photos of Johnson in Batwing armor. One of the hero leaping into action in the full get up, and another one without his helmet. So first off, before getting into this laughable tweet, CW had that damn problem making every fucking best friend a hero. I know Luke Fox, I think, is actually Batwing in the comics, but even Batwing in the comics, I think, is kind of a virtue signal thing. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't really watched it, reading the comics as much as I used to. I actually, Batman is one that I would try to keep up with. But this tweet, the main reason I wanted to be in Batwoman was for the opportunity to give kids like me another black hero to look up to and relate. I'm no black hero is going to relate to being a Batman Beyond-esque hand-me-down. To be fair, this Photoshop armor does not look as bad as, if you guys remember Impulse, I covered that on a previous VW Casual. Impulse looked crazy. But this is the picture. This is going to look, it looks mighty CW. So yeah, the quote, the main reason I want to be Batwoman, give opportunities because black people cannot be confident at all until they get a white hand-me-down character or a tokenized version of an already established character. Somebody said it earlier. Let me go up there. Sorry. But I know a lot of people have shown in, but somebody had the comment that perfectly put it. Yeah. Fathead Druid. Thank you, Fathead Druid. Race swapping is disingenuous and implies minorities are incapable of carving out their own legacies or their legacies. It's evil and couldn't be further from the truth. That's really why I hate this. And this is not technically a race swap. This is a tokenized version of a character. Batwoman is dying, so I mean, whatever. Batwoman itself is a tokenized version of the character. Let me see. Of course, he was shot by a corrupt white cop who tried to cover up the incident, and Luke will finally become a hero, entering the field alongside this season's Scarlet Knight, Ryan Wilder, both of whom will wrestle with living society that sees black people as expendable. That's awesome. Within Batwoman's narrative, Luke is hit harder by this reality, having a near-death vision of his father, Lucius, and learned of his death at the hands of corrupt cop Miguel Robles. Oh, so now he's not a white cop, I guess, because Miguel Robles sounds like he's at least part Latin. So now this is just race wars. This ought to give Luke a dramatic conflict about protecting Gotham City, or at least seems the plan. He won't be along. So Diggle is still around. That's dope. Just mentioned him earlier. Based on the tease this week episode, Diggle will enter the picture and mentor Luke in his new phase of life as crime fighter. This is CW is so trash. The CW is so trash. Does anybody remember when the CW universe was good? Those first few episodes? Oh my goodness. And the series, so I guess he did end up a Green Lantern. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. So whatever. But anyway, does anybody remember when the CW was good? Scarlett Johansson, Ghost in the Shell. open up the race swapping good bads open season like Ken and Scooby, like Joker. I did not like that race swap either. Scarlett Johansson. She did okay, but it really was like it fucked up. To me, to keep calling this white woman Major Kusanagi, it was like, this is silly. This is so silly. And hell, Mags. I appreciate Mags being here. Jens Peter, Batwoman needed a man to save her rating. Don't think Superman can save it. I don't think anything's going to save this thing. Yeah, first season of Arrow was classic. I like the first 2 seasons of Arrow, the first 2 seasons of, season and a half of Flash. And that's pretty much it. And Legends of Tomorrow, which I heard the latter seasons are actually better. I only got 1 season in. But that was it. That was it for me. It just got terrible and stupid. And Bruno Morningwood is old enough to remember John Wesley Shipp's Flash show. I see. Let me see. So Diggle is going to be, so they're trying to bring back anyone who watched Arrow. So he's going to be doing a cameo. Is there anything? Yeah, there's nothing real relevant about this. I just, who wants to see this? And I guess who wants to see Batwoman anyway? When does this show get canceled? What does this show need to do to fucking get canceled? The first season of all the CW/WB shows pre-2016. I feel like 2015 is when they started to fall off. I feel like this fell off a little early because 2016 is the international drop-off date for all media. But I think this CW started to fall off like 2015. Watch all the CW shows before finishing out the season right before Crisis crossovers. You stayed on way longer than me. Way longer. Agree. Still haven't seen Hollywood Ghost in the Shell. Should have been a Japanese cat. It really should have been. It was so obvious. It should have been. It was obvious. Yeah, who wants to see Batwoman anyway? That's a good point. Just thought it was funny. We can still go and talk about whatever you want to talk about. I'll end on a positive story, but I still kind of want to talk to you guys because you guys are cool. This is not the Vigilante Wednesday show. There is a difference between VW casuals that I don't really have to talk about anything. I did have some stories. You guys brought the Albert Wesker thing. We could talk about that. And more race swapping. But in general, it's the same story. The same story. All on the world, same song. It's the same shit over and over and over and over again. And granted, I'm sure being a YouTuber and being in this community makes me a little bit more tired of it than everybody else. But it's just like, one, why do we need this franchise remade? Before we get into you're changing the race of every character and changing the narrative of every character and making every white man bad. Before we even do all that, why do we need this franchise to be done over again? Why do we need the 80th reboot? Why do we need another Resident Evil anything? Why? Why do we need another Scooby-Doo anything? What is so hard with you guys creating new franchises? Why do we need new Star Wars? We got 3 great movies in the 70s into the 80s, and then we even got prequels and an extended universe and a bunch of other cool stuff. We don't even need new Star Wars. We really don't. Star Wars needs to be saved. No, it needs to be allowed to gracefully retire. These franchises, we don't need another. We don't need Ghostbusters Afterlife to wash over with Ghostbusters 2016. No, Ghostbusters is 2 movies in the 80s, and they were really good, and that's fine. There's no shame in that being it. Back to the Future is just 3 good movies, and that's all it needs to be. That's all I want it to be. And thank God Robert Zemeckis is basically over my dead body with the changes of Back to the Future, which unfortunately, nobody lives forever. So when, in 30 years, when they race swap Marty McFly or whatever it is, 50 years, why not create a new franchise? Veronica Mars was a new franchise that a lot of people liked. I didn't see it. And yeah, Fathead Druid is just like me, more than happy to watch, or more happy than for Heels versus Babyface to watch Batwoman for him. Yeah, yeah. Who wants to see Batwoman? But who wants to see any of this stuff? Let's talk about Wesker, Albert Wesker race while somebody mentioned it in the chat. And Jesus. Yeah, new Netflix series, Race Swaps, Albert Wesker, new Resident Evil live action series. Okay. Like why are we doing a Resident Evil live action series? Well, there's fans of Resident Evil. Okay. Cool. So Lance Reddick will play a race swap version of Albert Wesker. I'm sure he'll do a good job. It may be a good series. It may be dope. It may be dope. I don't know. But if he's like, yeah, I had to make all these zombies because Black Lives Matter, I'm out. I'm checking out. And honestly, with any series after WandaVision, I need to be approved by the fandom at large before I check it out. An official Netflix geek Twitter made this announcement. It reads, Medina announces get Reed to enter a new Raccoon City with the cast of Resident Evil, Lance Reddick, Ella Balinska, Tamara Smart, Sienna Adgung, Aladine Rudolph, Paulo Nuez. So here's the cast of Resident Evil. Cool. Reddick confirmed he was playing Albert Wesker. Separate announcement on Twitter. He wrote, I'm so excited to finally announce this. Get ready to enter a new Raccoon City with the cast of a new live action Resident Evil series. I'll be playing Albert Wesker. So here we go. Whoa. So no Chris Redfield, I see. No Chris Redfield. Do we even get Jill Valentine? What the fuck is... Okay. I'm not... Listen, man. They've made it so even if there's literally no white men here. No Barry. They're gone. Fuck me. Is it Albert Wesker? No, he's not. Because this isn't Resident Evil. They already did that with Resident Evil with fucking the Fifth Element girl, Mila Jovovich. And I forget, was it Alice or some shit? When she wasn't in the games and they just tossed her in. And I think they may have put her in the game since. Oh boy. I think Jason Momoa's look as Aquaman worked because the character costume was dated silly. However, to change all characters is just not welcome because current characters will work fine. And you're right about that. It's not like they can't do changes and make it work. And they changed it, but it still kind of gave off the vibes of the original, or at least when I didn't see the movie because I'm not as interested in what Jason Momoa in the shirt out as most women because I'm not a woman. So, but I don't know if people watched it just because it was cool in action, but I didn't have any interest in that. Agree, Hollywood needs to wait 20 more years. They want to do something with the franchise, no changes, or let it gracefully retire. I think they really need to make more original franchises. That's really the issue. That Ghostbusters tweet that you retweeted, I posted a blah on her tweet. Yeah, it was just a mess. These reboots, reimagines are getting out of hand. After the 10th time, make me roll my eyes. That casting is DOA. Yeah, man, this is over. This is over. I don't want to see this. And you know something? I don't know if I want to see Resident Evil even done well. Well, if you can do it well, but I don't done inaccurate. I don't think you can do it well. I don't think you can do it well. I don't think that's an option. I don't think getting something done well. Like I said, I don't want to see Ghostbusters Afterlife. That's not going to be woke, or shouldn't be woke. It should be less woke, whatever. Not going to be a bunch of whammon telling me I'm a toxic male. But I don't want to see it because I don't want to see another Ghostbusters movie because there's two good Ghostbusters movies in the 80s. They already happened. We're done. We're out of here. They got a cartoon. They got there's comic books. We're done. We don't need any more. We don't need this. Make something new or adapt something new. If you can adapt books and comics because that's always been a part. Adapting books has been a part of Hollywood since the beginning. But make something new. What is so hard with making something new? It's Resident Evil Afterlife. Netflix revealed the first look during a YouTube live stream. They noted that the show is currently in production. Wesker made his first appearance in the original Resident Evil game back in '96 and has appeared in a number of subsequent games, including 4 and 5. He was previously portrayed in live action by Sean Roberts. Netflix announced a live action Resident Evil series was in the works back in August 2020. At that time, Netflix detailed the series will tell a brand new story across 2 timelines. They elaborated first time in timeline, your 14-year-old sisters Jade and Billy Wesker are new and moved to What the fuck is this? What without race swapping, this sounds dumb. Jade and Billy Wesker are moved to New Raccoon City, a manufactured corporate town, forced on them right as adolescents in full swing. But the more they spend there, the more they come to realize the town is more, and it seems, and their father may be concealing dark secrets, secrets that can destroy the world. So are they Albert Wesker's kids? What is going on? What is this? As for the second timeline, cut to the second timeline over a decade into the future, there are less than 15 million people on Earth and more than 6 billion monsters and animals, people infected with the T virus. Jade, now 30, struggles to survive this new world while the secrets from her past about her sister, father, and herself continue to haunt her. The series showrunner, executive producer Andrew Dabb. You can't see me, Dab, because I'm not on camera. Resident Evil is my favorite game of all time. Okay, this is what the writer said. Maybe he's pulling a Kevin Smith where this is all a work. He probably is, but we'll see. Resident Evil is my favorite game of all time. I'm incredibly excited to tell a new chapter in this amazing story and bring the first Resident Evil series to Netflix members around the world. For every type of Resident Evil fan, even for those joining us for the first time, the series will be complete with a lot of old friends, some things bloodthirsty, insane things people have never seen before. Just go back to the cast picture. Do any of these members, I have not played all the Resident Evil games, so I cannot say for sure. Do any of these castees that they are first announced, and I'm sure they have to announce more castees, do any of them remind you of any characters in any of the games? If they do, please let me know. Please let me know. Disney could just use 60 years of Marvel and adapt to TV. Brilliant, but no. Yep, of course not. True story. True story. My uncle's called Barry Burton. He used to have that fucking Desert Eagle. Go through 2 zombies' heads, 3 zombies' heads. Shout out to Barry Burton. He was cool with Jill back in the day. They're making new things like drag queen programs. You better watch them or you're a transphobe. Yeah, and they're for your kids too. Your kids better watch them or you're a transphobe. You may lose your kids if you don't allow them to be transgender here in Canada, at least. They all look soy, so no, says Jens. Anyone who's a fan, let me know if I'm wrong. Like, no, she could be her, but there's no male characters. And yeah, so CW was cool in the 2000s. Yeah, and again, the early 10s, I liked a lot of WB or the DC comic stuff. It's not. This is deeper than a race swap, Wesker. This is just literally 5 different raced women, 1 black guy. Cool. Maybe one of them is Jill. Maybe this is Jill. I don't know. But it doesn't look promising. And the same principle applies. Just do something new. It's not that hard. Why? Again, that sounds like a lot of changes. Why not change the name of the characters, change the name of the virus, do a whole new zombie property that isn't Resident Evil? How hard would that be? Since you're changing everything else, just create a whole new property. How hard is that? Is that rocket science? Am I asking Hollywood to do something impossible? They are changing so much about these adaptations. They're altering so much. Why not just create a whole new property with what you're altering? Why not say, what if we took this and changed this, and this, and then we would have something totally new, and we could just go in that direction. Orville did it. They took Star Trek, they parodied it and created something new. The Boys did it. Venture Brothers did it, and they're all their own property. It is not rocket science. The Tick did it. This is not rocket science. Something new or something true. That's all I want. That's basic. And if you're going to adapt the property, adapt the fucking property. There's going to be changes. Make those changes respectful in the spirit of what you're doing. Spider-Man, the first two Spider-Man movies do change quite a bit, but everything feels within the spirit of Spider-Man. With a crew like that, Resident Evil will be a very short movie due to character survivability. No, none of those characters are going to die. None of them will die. A bunch of white man will probably die. But yeah, none of them will die. That's a mess. And again, do you want to see a new Resident Evil property adapted? Is that something you're interested in? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people, I mean, like you said, something true. If it was true, I think it had more interest. But that doesn't seem like it's going to be true to what you want. And it just seems like another money grab, which I get it. But again, I think you can get that built-in audience that you want with a new property. Okay. I think we're pretty much done. We've been blasting through stories properly. Okay, let's see what Yin says. They can't do new property for men, so will Soy and all the old ones they have. I will not say who is to blame, but it's not for me. Yeah. Alrighty. A Waffle House employee. This is the positive news story with all that craziness in the Hollywood. I mean, yeah, there's woke elements, but that wasn't even a thing. It's the lack of originality that disturbs me. Let's talk about some positive stuff and criticize the education system a little bit more. Why not? Waffle House employees in Alabama save a high school graduate's day. Employees at a Waffle House in Alabama rallied to help an 18-year-old coworker attend his high school graduation. Timothy Harrison's high school graduation was being held across town when he showed up for his shift at the Waffle House in Center Point, Alabama. His managers and coworkers were surprised to see him. Why aren't you going to graduation? His manager, Cedric Hampton, asked. I don't have a way to get across town to the Crossplex for the ceremony, Timothy replied. Besides, I wasn't able to get tickets for my family because I was working and didn't complete all my senior activities. That's when Cedric and his fellow employees went to work, including the assistant manager who was off that day. I was like, "You're going," that's what Cedric told WVTM, which is what I'm assuming the local station. Shantana Blevins drove Timothy over to the high school to get his cap and gown. Cedric, along with Chastity Brown, Patricia Richardson, headed to a nearby clothing store where they bought Timothy a new dress shirt, slacks, and tie. And Shantana drove Timothy across town just in time for commencement. She didn't have a ticket, so she waited in the parking lot for the ceremony to end. I have people who want to see me succeed, so it kind of made me excited, Harrison told WVTM. When I put on the clothes, it was a different feeling. I didn't know the words. $1 million was the best feeling. So shout out to the employees of the Waffle House. Saw this kid been working, couldn't do his senior activities, guys. So he couldn't get tickets for his fucking family to watch him graduate. Fuck you fucking, I fucking hate the education system. It pisses me off so bad. Some teachers should have helped him out. That's who could have helped him out. Now his coworkers, they stepped up. That was really cool. Got the little girl helping him with his cap and shit. That was cool that they did that because they didn't have to do that. They made sure he went and was over to go to his graduation. But he didn't complete his senior activities because he had to get a job and work. Well, you need tickets because you motherfuckers remember senior activities. That was the stupidest stuff. And shout out to this is so cool of what they did. Like you said, it's a very nice story. It's a very cool story. But if not for the craftiness and the grift of the education system, it wouldn't even have to happen. Some teacher should have made sure, oh man, you know what, you're working, so you can't do your senior activities. Let's make sure you still get some tickets so your family can see you. Because it's a big moment to go through all the bullshit, this damn indoctrination system, and to be able to graduate from it. Hopefully he goes to a trade school and not a college. Goodness gracious. Shout out to Cedric, his manager. Shout out to Shantana. Shout out to who was the other people involved? Chastity and Patricia, everybody in the Waffle House who worked for the Waffle House. Shout out to the Waffle House as well. But shout out to all the hardworking folks made sure this brother could see his high school graduation. And this is why I do these stories. Hearing things like this keeps my faith in humanity alive. The problem with the news, you only hear negative. You only hear negative stuff. And yeah, the education system is shit. But there are still good people with the people will do that. Good people with true hearts, I'll have that all day. That's why we try to end with positive news stories. Because I started off this channel. It'll be the anniversary in a few weeks of the first thing on this channel. It was a positive news podcast, similar to what I think Nina Infinity's doing now. Like right now, I think it's at the exact same time doing this. She does a positive news show. I was doing one, started a year ago. The guy from Office was doing positive news stuff, and I was like, that's cool because he sold it out immediately. But hello, Noble Iro. It sucks that you're late. It's always warm here on your channel. I'm a returning guest every time. I appreciate you being here, Noble Iro. I appreciate you being here. It sucks that you're late, but you did come at probably the best time, the most heartwarming time. I'll still rap, kind of talk about what we covered. I don't necessarily have to rap. Mate. It's a very nice story. Japan does some good animated live action. Nana Gantz, Kakeguri, a few others. All Japanese cast loading. No change in the story. Absolutely good on his co-workers. We need more people like this to stand up to this crap. It makes no sense that they needed to do this for him. It shows you how inattentive this generation of educators and teachers are. Because I know back when I was going to high school, if there was a kid that was having to work through everything, they would have made sure he had tickets and made sure he had he doesn't have a way to get across town. We're going to make sure some way, somehow, especially in the days of Uber. You're telling me some teachers couldn't put together to get this kid an Uber? That just shows they don't care, unfortunately. That just shows they don't care. And thank God you have people that work with him that do care. Thank God that even when there's people that don't care, there's absolutely people who care. And that's something we got to remember, man. In this world, I've done so many stories. I remember doing a story in Texas when they had the I do this to end every Vigilante Williamson show. I'm gonna start doing it to end casual as well because it's a good feeling. Shows you that empathy and compassion is not being taught at home or in school. Clearly not. With shows like this, I'm done with mainstream media. Real versus fake. It's that simple, man. Thank you, because I know I listen to Ripper for news. That's my news source. Because to get news outside of the fandom stuff, it's Young Ripper. I don't even in sometimes Tim Pool because Parrothead will send me Tim Pool articles. Shout out to Parrothead. Because it's like mainstream is not going to get it, and who's going to deal with the sensationalism? But as far as this goes, good thing there are people that care. Good thing that we have to remember that there are good people in the world. And I was talking about a story when Texas had its blizzards, and there was a lot of issues. Then there were a lot of remember the evil bitch from Star Trek talking shit, but at the same time, there was she either Uber Eats driver or Instacart driver. Her car gets stuck. Let me see if I can find that story. It's like months old. I'm not sure if they keep months old stories, but it was an amazing story. This family basically let this Uber Eats driver or whatever driver she was that she barely knew stay for a whole, I want to say a weekend or a week, because you remember there was nothing going with that damn blizzard. And it's like it just shows people just snap into compassion. They just snapped into compassion. They didn't think, and it was a different race. So that's another reason that story was never going to have any mainstream pub. And, as I go through this, I found the positive story about John Cena talking, and it sucks that he's such a dick because he is a real charitable dude. I'm trying to find his story. I think I'll be able to find it too, and I can talk about it. But there's all sorts of heartwarming stories. Shout out to sunnyskies.com. This is my favorite source of positive news. Some other sources get really politicized. And actually the politicization of it is why I said, fucking, I might as well talk about politics. There's all sorts of stuff. There's a restaurant owner who helped promote one of his competitors during the lockdown. There's all these positive stories. Plumbers that drove to to Texas. So I found the story I was just talking about. Such a great story. I am gonna go through it all because if I can talk about all the negative shit, we can talk about some positive shit. Let's be positive. This is from a few months ago. Let's see what you guys are saying. Yeah, Ripper's the man. We all care here because we're watching people like you, VW, and other YouTubers like you. Yeah, this is really cool, and this is shows you caring. And unfortunately, given the racial stuff, because mainstream media has to push, we all hate each other. You can't just think of humans being human. Couple hosts a delivery driver for 5 days after her car got stuck in the snow. A delivery driver. This is from February 23rd of this year. Texas had unprecedented blizzards. We're not going to conspiracy theory whether it was HARP or not. We're just going to say they were unprecedented blizzards because I don't know. I joke about conspiracy theory stuff because I literally don't know. But a delivery driver in Texas is feeling blessed after staying in a couple's homes for 5 days when her car got stuck in the yard amid a winter storm. And this is a picture of them together. Nina Richardson and Doug Condon checked on Timmons to try to get her vehicle up the driveway, but it was stuck, and they invited her inside to wait for a tow truck. 5 days later, she was still with the couple, and this is a Facebook post that Timmons shared her amazing experience with the couple, and it's a long post, so it'll be some time. So, stranded with a stranger, story time. If you know me, you know that on the weekends, I work for delivery services. This particular weekend, I was in Austin delivering groceries to make some extra money. Everyone tried to prepare for the winter storm. Goal was to do some runs in the morning, head home around noon, and be home before the snow hit Sunday night. I intended to sip some wine, eat some Valentine's chocolate, and wait out this storm. But things did not go planned at all. I accepted my last run around 11 a.m., thinking she's going to make it. But unfortunately, road conditions were already becoming poor. Took her a little over an hour to pick up their order and arrive at their home. So past noon, and their home sat lower than the main road, so the driveway is an incline. As she began to descent down the hill, very cautiously, she crept down where remembering to tap the brakes and not slam into them. In icy conditions, she tapped, but the car continued at the same speed, tapped a bit more, then aggressively. Yet the speed acceleration, panic, slammed the brakes, but the car continued forward through the ice. That's scary as shit. And down the driveway, she lost control of the fan and braced herself for impact as the car slid to the home. And it rolled into their flower bed, hit a slumped tree, and then stopped because she like I said, she closed her eyes and imagined every worst case scenario flashed in her head. That's scary enough. That anyone who's ever been through an ice storm, there's nothing scarier than when you hit your fucking brakes and your car keeps going because the ice doesn't give a shit. That is frightening. And going down the hill, I can't imagine how scary that was. Thank God she didn't hit their home. But he still to kind of run into a tree, a slumped tree. So didn't have enough momentum to cause damage. Safe. Car was undamaged. Property was safe, but the tree was gone. Unload the groceries, inform them of the situation. Was able to get the car turned around, but the slope was covered in ice, and the wheels just spun, and the car slid back down after attempt. So they called a tow truck so the car doesn't slide back into their house and doesn't damage the car. Call a tow truck. So AAA said it'd be an hour or two for the tow truck to arrive. They agreed to let me wait inside. Hours passed. No tow truck. Repeatedly made calls to AAA with no answers. Finally, around 6 p.m. Remember, she got there around noon, little after noon. Or maybe 1, because she said it took about an hour to get the groceries. So she's been there 5 or 6 hours by this point. AAA said my locations was inaccessible due to the current conditions. Tried to get an Uber, Lyft, taxi to get me a hotel just a few miles away so I could stay for the night. Obviously, if tow trucks weren't getting through, neither would cars. Conditions worsened and options dwindled. And so the couple offered to their guest room for the night. These people let a complete stranger stay the night. Not only that, cooked steak dinner. Definitely not how I imagine my Valentine's Day. I'm sure it was around Valentine's Day. Well, the saga continued. It's currently day 5, and I'm still here thanks to some heavy sweeping. No Texas, no snow shovel, obviously. Cleared the driveway. We're able to get my car up the incline, so we no longer need a tow. But the road conditions were still horrible. Car was not making it out of the neighborhood safely. Power was going out across the city. Stores were emptying, closed. Hotels overrun by people seeking warmth. Every morning, when I suggest leaving to a hotel, they were concerned. So they would ask her, could you make it there safely? What would you eat? What if they lose power? What if the guest room isn't better than half? Isn't the guest room better than Hampton Inn? They basically wouldn't let her leave because obviously it was unsafe during that snowstorm in Texas. This is an old story for anyone joining new. We ended with one positive story. I had to read this so you can see the story that of humanity banding together when they need to. These are strangers, and they helped this girl out. Every morning you said, no worry, you just stay a bit longer. Just went to her room and shed tears, my room, shed tears of joy. The home still had water, which if you remember, a lot of places didn't. Power. Even our own comics division struggled with a lot of this stuff. Shout out to comics because he's struggling with a lot of stuff. He's a good brother. He's put me on. A lot of you know me from comics division, so that's why I mentioned it. So we were clean and warm. They had groceries, obviously, because she delivered them, and so they're fed. How amazingly blessed is she right in that moment? Blessed that had her at curbside, pushed for their Saturday delivery and pushed it for Sunday, and then she hit accept before the timer ran out. Yeah, because they could have got it a different day. It's just how things work. Read another story about this woman saving somebody, and she was like, "This is how God works." It's like I was put in the right place at the right time. Blessed all the places my car gets stuck. It was a flower bed, not a ditch. They wouldn't let the delivery driver enter their home in the midst of a pandemic. And in time of a food shortage, they were able to share. They were sharing her meals that they like coconut cake, baked them a cake to show gratitude. Completely blessed all around. Got anchored during the storm, and God sent me amazing God's truly anchored me during the storm and sent amazing guardian angels. Looks like one night more nights here. Tomorrow weather will be warm and I can make it back home. I can't believe everything that's happened. Look at her with the dog. Beyond grateful that I've been able to find comfort during strangers during this unprecedented winter storm. So yeah, I'm sure this story and this picture really make it hard to push white supremacy by the media. So you probably never heard about this story from 4 months ago. But yeah, positive stuff happens in the world. People do care about each other. Yeah, black ice. It's a real term. Yeah, I know. And that's how I met you through Comics Division. Exactly. He struggled with a lot of this stuff. And Hell Nerdporial Life Forum, one of the best new channels out there. I appreciate it. I appreciate you being here. But that will be the end. We've gotten 2 positive stories, one current day, one the end. Check out sunnyskies.com if ever you're feeling down and you lose faith in humanity. You can check out and realize, no, there's still a lot of positive in humanity, a lot of positive in the world. People are doing good things for each other. I appreciate everybody being here. It's a short podcast, but I think FNT is probably going to start pretty soon, so it works out. So if you like the video, please like the video. If you're so obliged to share and subscribe, please do that as well. If you're coming late, please watch the playback. I know a lot of people do. And even if you do none of these things, thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. Good night and God bless. I appreciate everybody here on the VW Casual, and we will talk to you next time. Peace out. And check out the MF for Mondays. It's after FNT around 10:30. It'll be on Matt's channel, Fireball Productions. Me there, Jed. Sometimes Time for Midnight's Ed shows up. Sometimes Comics Division shows up. So a lot of people show up. I lost the Pontiac G6 to Black Ice. I remember everyone used to have those G6s back in the 2000s. Peace, brightest day. Peace, everybody. Take care, Max. Take care of chat. Everybody take care. Peace out.